108. My heart is steadfast, O God. I will sing and make melody with all my being. Awake, O harp and lyre. I will awake the dawn. I will give thanks to you, O Yahweh, among the peoples. I will sing praises to you among the nations. For your steadfast love is great above the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches to the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be over all the earth. That your beloved ones may be delivered. Give salvation by your right hand and answer me. God has promised in his holiness, with exultation I will divide up Shechem and portion out the valley of Succoth. Gilead is mine, Manasseh is mine, Ephraim is my helmet, Judah is my scepter. Moab is my wash basin, upon Edom I will cast my shoe. Over Philistia I shout in triumph. Who will bring me to the fortified city? Who will lead me to Edom? Have you not rejected us, O God? You do not go out, O God, with our enemies, with our armies. O grant us help against the foe, for vain is the salvation of man. With God we shall do valiantly. It is he who will tread down our foes. This is a really interesting structure that this psalm has. You read it the first time, you think, what in the world is going on here? This guy's all over the place. Well, here's what's up. David was in this very dangerous situation. I don't know if he was writing this maybe the night before a battle, or he was remembering what it was like back then and writing a song about it or something that they could sing next time they're in that situation. We don't know the historical context of this in that much detail. But what you can see here is these themes surfacing of, okay, there's a great human threat. It seems that God has thrust us into this without a whole lot of care, so we've got some questions about whether he's actually with us or not. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to acknowledge what we know about God, and we're going to thank him in the presence of our enemies. So you can see these themes of like, your greatness is above the clouds. Your glory fills all the earth. Your greatness is up to the heavens and things like that. It's this massively over-the-top cosmic type of language, and then that puts their enemies in perspective. Now, their enemies are these just little city-states, which at the moment, you know, when they're rattling their swords and they're about to kill you, that looks like the biggest problem that could exist. But when you put it in perspective of the greatness of God, it's like, okay, he's actually got this. This is a bigger problem than I can handle, and this is scary, and I might die. But when you consider who God is, what this must look like to him, these Philistines, these Moabites, they just, you know, they're nothing, right? So they're going back to what they know about God. And then this response is really interesting. If you look at verse 3, he says, I will give thanks to you, O Yahweh, among the peoples. Now, those of you that have spent some time in your Old Testament know that when a Jew talks about the peoples, he's talking about the nations, right? The Goyim or the Adamim or whatever. And he's saying that these are the Gentile people that are looking at him, and in their presence, he's going to thank God. So this is an act of defiance against impossible odds. He's looking at this saying, these armies are about to kill us. I'm going to go ahead and thank God while they're watching. Like, thank God for something he hasn't done yet? Yeah, I got that kind of faith, and everybody's about to see it, right? So it's thanking God for impending victory, and even if you don't get the victory, because again, this, you know, like I said last week, this isn't some kind of prosperity gospel where it's like, we can just speak it into being, man, blab it and grab it. It's not like that, but you're thanking God because his greatness is going to come to bear on the situation, and God's only going to do good things. So whatever that looks like, it's going to be good because God's the one doing it. So we're going to thank him even before we know the outcome of stuff. Thanking God in the middle of a problem you can't see the end of is not the way we normally think or feel. It's not what we normally feel we ought to do. That's not our spiritual and emotional reflex. It is the reflex of David in Psalm 108, and that would be a good one for us to adopt. So look at God's response. This is really confusing on first reading because, you know, the names of the cities or the names of the nations are weird and stuff like that. But verses 7 through 9, he says, with exultation I will divide up Shechem and portion out the valley of Succoth. Gilead is mine, Manasseh is mine. Okay, so these are portions of Israel. Ephraim is my helmet, Judah is my scepter. Okay, these are all good things. Now Moab, this is outside of Israel, Moab is my wash basin. Okay, it's like I throw my dirty laundry in those guys. Upon Edom I cast my shoe. I've never given anybody that insult. I cast my shoe upon you. But, you know, that's a big deal. I mean, even today in the Middle East, to show somebody the bottom of your shoe is a big deal. When the statue of Saddam came down in Baghdad, the people were going over there and beating him. They were taking off their shoes and beating the statue with their shoes, because that was the greatest sign of disrespect. That goes back a long way. So he says, upon Edom, I cast my shoe. Over Philistia, I shout in triumph. So what God's saying here is, I'm greater than the nations, okay? Like, these people do not concern me. I will handle them. And so David here is going back to what he knows about God, the God of Israel, being the Lord of all the nations. Christ is Lord of all. That's just true, you know. Now, he didn't know the name of Christ yet like we get to, but, you know, same God. So then in verse 13, with God we shall do valiantly. It is he who will tread down our foes. David knew what God's plan was for him. Maybe not in that specific instance, maybe, but even if he didn't know how that particular battle was going to turn out, he knew that God put him there and anointed him in order to conquer the enemies of Israel, gain peace and prosperity, to pass down his lineage and down the line of kings that would come from him. So he knew that God was going to win some battles through him. How this one turned out was important in the moment, but didn't threaten the whole, right? And that's a really great thing for us to realize when we're going through difficulties. Is like, look, Christ has already won the victory for us, so this situation may be at risk, and the risk may be big. I don't want to downplay this stuff. Sometimes the worst case scenario is pretty stinking bad, but when we look back at this from eternity, we will see that this situation, whatever it is, has not threatened the whole. And what God says is eternally true is still eternally true and is eternally better than anything that we're facing at the moment. The weight of this present suffering is not worthy to be compared with the weight of glory. That's a summary, obviously. The real quote is, this light momentary affliction is not worthy to be compared with the weight of glory that is to be revealed, right? So God is who he is. That doesn't change. We can revert to that, and we can thank him, even in the presence of our enemies, for his impending victory over all, even if it is not applied the way we want it to be in this situation. So thank God for the finished work of Christ, because this situation is going to wind up being wrapped up into that somehow, some way.